Hello everyone, this is me, Brittany, coming to you live. My nails are really cute, by the way. Coming to you live and showing you how to make a beautiful, loose, off-the-shoulder knit sweater. And it is going to be very cute, and it's going to be a very simple knitting pattern because I know a lot of crocheters also follow my accounts, so this is going to be very crochet user friendly. I'm a crochet user. I love crochet, but every once in a while I like to knit. It's a bit of a different look. I know the 2 needles might freak people out, but it's going to be very simple, I promise you. Now the first thing you'll need is some yarn of your choice. This yarn is a weight 4 yarn, and that is the brand. I got it from Michael's. It was on sale. That's why I got it. You're going to need about 2 or 3 rolls of that. I have 3. This is the first pair of knitting needles you will need. They are size 9. Okay, just trust me, they're size 9. These are a size 17 or 12 millimeter. Now some will say 12 millimeters, some will say 12.5, but they're honestly the same to me. And you can use straight or circular needles. I'm gonna use both, but straight needles are probably better for beginners, so I suggest straight needles. And I'm just gonna be using these because I don't have any other ones, but I'm gonna be using them like straight needles. So that's that. Here are some stitch markers you will need. Also, if you don't exactly have stitch markers, I'll show you how to make some budget-friendly stitch markers. And last but not least, some scissors, which, duh, you need scissors for every yarn project. Okay, that's all the supplies you'll need. We'll be starting off with a long tail cast on. There are many methods of casting on, but I like the long tail cast on because it just looks a little better to me. And now I'm making a slip knot, placing the slip knot on my hook, tightening it up a little bit, and doing a long tail cast on method, which is basically going under the first loop on your thumb, back through, and placing a loop on the hook. This is the long tail cast on method. Or you can do a regular cast on method. There's a lot of videos out there that will teach you how to do cast ons. We're going to do 50 stitches cast on. So we already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and enough to get 50 on the, needle. I'll meet you back here when I'm done. I'm done casting on my 50 total stitches, and I have this much left. Now I will tie a knot with the rest of my string to the working yarn. Just a simple knot. That is what I like to do to keep it all together. Here we go. You can trim this off a little bit if it's too long, or you can leave it there to weave in at the end of the project. Now we're going to take our other needle, and what we're going to be doing now is a 1 by 1 ribbing, which is basically 1 knit, 1 purl, 1 knit, 1 purl, all the way down the row. So a knit and a purl. And a knit is basically you going under with the working yarn, wrapping the string around the back of the needle and lifting the loop off. So it's basically just creating a loop on the needle. That's all knitting is. Once you realize that concept, then it'll be a lot easier. For the purl, you put the string in the front, so you put it in between the 2 needles, and you go in the top of the loop that is on this hook. Wrap it around again from the back and then bring it down to lift off that loop. And so there's another loop. And with the purls, there's a little purl right there, what I like to call it. I think that's why they call it a purl, because this looks like a pearl. Anyway, for the knit, you put it back to the back again. Then you go under the first loop, wrap the working yarn around the back, lift it off, and so you have a loop. It's all about loops, people, okay? The loops are what make the knit what it is. So back to the front for the purl. So you go through the top, wrap it around the back. You're going to wrap it around the back for each of the purl and the knits. And then you just lift it off. So now you see all these loops that are forming, and you can tell the difference between the knit and the purls because the knit will not have this little pearl looking thing on the top of it, if you can see. Okay, so just go down the entire row, alternating between knit and purl, and I will meet you when you get done with that. So we've completed one row of 1 by 1 ribbing, and we're just going to do 8 more rows of this same thing. So knitting, purling, again 8 more times. If you want to make a smaller ribbing or larger ribbing, you can do that too, but make sure you keep track of exactly how many rows you're doing, because you'll be doing that for all the rest of the pieces that we're going to combine at the end. I am going to do 8. So that will be 8 rows plus the cast on row. That's 9 rows altogether. Just keep track of that. But yes, just do however many rows more of this, and I will meet you when you get done with that. Now that you have completed your 1 row of cast on plus 8 more rows of ribbing 1 by 1, this is how stretchy it is. Now that you've completed that, now it's time to transfer to the larger needles. And don't mind me, I have circular needles, but you can use them as straight needles. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to simply knit this entire row onto the bigger needles. And these are a little tight, so it will take, you just go slow, alright? But basically, we're just going to knit this entire row onto the bigger needle. Just 1 by 1 for all 50 stitches. And make sure you, make sure you hold the needles tight, because they can slip off since we're transferring from a smaller to a larger. But just go very slow. This is the only row we'll have to do like this. So just finish that all the way down the row and I'll meet you back here. So now we have transferred all the stitches to the larger needle, and as you can see, it's much more stretchy now. If you want to measure this and see how long it is when it's stretched, go ahead and do that. But this will start to give the baggy sweater feel. Now for the next couple of rows, you just do a basic stockinette stitch, which is going to be, so this side we did knit, now this side we're going to do purls. As you can see, these kind of look like pearls, so that's why I think that's the purl side all the time. That's how I can tell. So we're just going to purl all the purl sides, knit all the knit sides, back and forth for, I personally did 26 rows. You just want to measure it on yourself. It's going to be enough to get up to the bottom of your underarm. So underneath your armpit, you want to do enough rows where the sweater will reach from the desired length to the bottom all the way up to your armhole. For me, that was 26. For you, it might be different. If you want it longer, shorter, just keep track of the rows, and I will meet you back when you complete all of your rows. I have now completed 26 rows of stockinette stitch on the front part of my sweater. This is the ribbing down here, and this is the sweater part. See, it's starting to look like something now. Isn't that cute? And this is how airy it will be, how open. So it is a sweater, but it's really good for summer. I've worn it in the summer and it still feels very good. It's not too hot or anything. It's just really cute. So yeah, so now we will be placing our stitch markers on each side so we can know where the armholes will be when we connect it to the back side. Now, if you don't have any fancy stitch markers, I also like to use scrap yarn from other stuff and just tie it right there or right there. It works the darn same, okay? So you can use these if you don't have these stitch markers, but I have them, so I'll use them. So I'm going to place them at the very last stitch of each row. This is the last stitch over here. So I'm gonna put that there. And then the last stitch over here. Let's find that. There it is right there. Put it right there. So this will be so much easier in connecting it to the back one so you don't have to guess, because it's really hard to follow this all the way across. So yeah, so now what you will do from here is, yay, 26 more rows of this. That's pretty simple though, right? But if you're a beginner knitter, this is a very good pattern because it's a lot of the same thing and it's a big old square. So you really do get a lot of practice knitting. So you get to learn all the ins and outs and how the loops form, and if you make a mistake you can fix it, but you can go slow, you can go fast. I just think it's a really good project for beginner knitters, because I am a beginner knitter, believe it or not, but I happen to make a really cute thing, so that's what I'm showing everybody. But anyway, 26 more rows and I will meet you back here. So now we have done all of the rows. We did 26 up until the stitch marker, and then 26 more. Well, 25 more right now. This is the 26th row, and it's a knit side row. So for this last one, we're just gonna cast it off. And if you don't know how to do that, you just basically knit one stitch, then knit another stitch, and then pull the bottom loop over the top loop and off. And then you knit another one, and then you pull the bottom off, and then you just keep doing that all the way down the row. Okay, so yeah, just cast off the entire row, and then once you are done with that, do the exact same thing for the back panel. So you will have 2 panels of this. Now we're going to work on the sleeves. So for the sleeves, you're going to do pretty much the same thing as the front panel. You're going to long tail cast on some stitches for the ribbing, and then you're just going to do the stockinette stitch all the way up the sleeves, no increases or decreases, for however long your arm is. I will let you know how many rows I end up doing of stockinette stitch, but for right now we're going to do a long tail cast on, and we're going to cast on 28 stitches. That's how big it is for my wrist, but you know, if you have a different size wrist, you can measure it out. I'm going to do 28 stitches for that. So do that, and then just like for the front and back panel, I did 8 more additional rows of the 1x1 ribbing. You're going to do the exact same ribbing for this. So showing you again, this was the ribbing for the front panel, I'm going to do this exact same ribbing for the sleeves, but 28 stitches instead of 50 stitches. So yes, I'm going to long tail cast on 28 stitches now. So there we are, 28 stitches. Now we're going to do the 1 by 1 ribbing for 8 more rows, and then the stockinette stitch for the length of my arm, and I will meet you back after that. So I finished up with my sleeve, and this is the ribbing down here, and this is the base of the sleeve. I ended up doing 45 rows and then casting off at the 46th row. If I were gonna do this again, I would probably make it 5 more rows, 5 to 8 more rows to make it even more baggy, because right now it comes to right here, but you know, I'll probably do it to right there the next time I do it. So you could just gauge the bagginess on yourself. You just measure from here all the way up to your shoulder blade, but the bagginess is up to you. This is a very customizable piece in general, so just keep that in mind. Everybody's different. But yeah, I did 45 rows and cast off at the 46th. So this is the sleeve. And so now for our least favorite part of everything, math. Since we didn't do any increases, this is obviously going to be too small of a hole for your whole arm to fit in. So we're going to have to count down and place a stitch marker so we can attach it to the rest of the thing like this. So that will give us more room to have our shoulder right there and more bagginess without having to increase. So the math that we do for here is as follows. So I guess an easy way to do it is 28 divided by 2 is 14. So that'll be 14 for this side. And then count up until you get to 26. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So count down that many stitches and then place a stitch marker right there. I mean, don't look at exactly what I'm doing because I just loosely counted, but you're gonna like actually count these stitches to reach 26. And then you put the stitch marker in. I know this math is like really weird, but in my head it makes sense, and I'll write out the formula and do the same thing with the other side. So that's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And then attach it right there. And again, I will write out this math for you because I know it is very confusing. But I will write it out for you. Alas, creativity involves some math, and I hate it. But whatever. So anyway, there's that. And so now this will be the part that you attach to the rest of the body. We're just gonna pretend that is a straight line. But when you seam it all up, you won't even see that. It'll just kind of be like a straight line. So it'll be kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? When you seam it all up, it will make sense. So now for the seaming, that's pretty fun because you get to do it with a crochet hook. So for the seaming, if you don't have enough of a long tail cast on for your body, you just want to tie on another piece of string so you can get around all of your seams. And you want to make this really secure. Okay. And then, sorry, I have allergies. And then you just want to trim this up because I don't like those strings hanging out. And so now what we're going to do is single crochet all the way up to the stitch marker that we attached at the 26th row on each side. Now these are all lined up, all the pieces, purl side facing up, because we want to single crochet it on the wrong side. So when you flip it on the right side, you won't have a bulky seam. It'll be cuter like that. So yeah, just single crochet up the row, however you want to do it. I like single crocheting, and these aren't really defined chains, so it's gonna be kind of annoying to see them, but just do it to the best of your ability. I'm just gonna do it really quickly so I can get to the other side. I actually already did this once and I took it out so I could film it for you guys to watch. But, you know, this part is really kind of annoying since it's not defined chains, but since it's crochet, I guess it's kind of alright. But you just want to get kind of closest to the edge as you possibly can. And don't worry too much about it being very beautiful on here, because like I said, we will flip it over and it will look better on the other side. But anyway, so you just want to seam that up until here, and then I will tell you what to do. Okay everyone, so I single crocheted up until the stitch marker, and now for the sleeve we turn it purl side facing out, and I have a long enough long tail cast on, so I'm just going to seam up the sleeve the same way until I get right here, and then I'm going to attach it to this one right here, and so we can prepare to attach the sleeve to the rest of the body. Now we're going to do it like this. So I also put a stitch marker in the middle of this, so it'll be one stitch marker here and one here, so this could be for the shoulder attachment. So we're going to line all this up, and once you single crochet up the side of the sleeve, we're going to take one side of this and attach it to the one side of this on the body. So it's going to go up here, attach here, around here, and then when you get here, you should also be at the top part of your sweater, so you can attach all of these three together, single crochet up here. I did about 5 for it to be really off the shoulder. If you want it to be less off the shoulder, you can do 8. So single crochet 8 up to here, back down the row, and then back down the sides, reaching here, and you will end back at the stitch markers. This will be underneath your arm, so people won't see all that, and it'll be inside out, well, right side facing out. So once you seam it up all like that, it will look like this, because I already seamed up this other side. So you see, it will be all seamed up like that. This is the top. So here's the finished sweater laying flat. I had to do it on my bed because the other surface wasn't big enough. But as you can see, it is a nice, comfy, oversized looking sweater. And it's really cute, and I hope you love it. And let me know if you make one. Beautiful. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.